All right, next topic. I want to talk about PlayStation Plus and Xbox games with gold.
The free games.
The free games
that you pay for.
You get.
That everybody
free games.
Okay.
I love it when it. So I to prepare for this topic, I went to Google and I typed in Xbox games with gold just to see what they're officially saying about it, and it literally says free games and there's an asterisk next to it. And I'm like, that's fucking hilarious. So yeah, you pay for the online service, either PS Plus or Xbox Gold, and then Xbox Live Gold, and you get free games every month. 2 games on Xbox, random amount of games on PlayStation.
2 per platform.
2 per platform.
Yeah.
Less random than I thought.
But you get the cross-play
do
sometimes.
not
It gets confusing.
Participate in this at all. I have PlayStation Plus. I never really get those games. You guys, active users of this.
Well, the problem with Colin and I is that we're so embedded in the community. Usually when these games come around, we've played them. We already have them. We already, have them through hook or crook. So it's never been as big a deal, PlayStation Plus, as I think it would have been to us as consumers. For a long time when it first started, Colin and I did an article at IGN. We'd update every month with, is it worth it? And this is what we paid for the year subscription, and then add up all the different avatars or backgrounds or games we'd get and take down with it, or discounts we'd spend and stuff. And it was like, what, in the first 4 months, it easily outpaced it.
Yeah, I was somewhat proud of the fact that back in the day, in 2010 or whenever it was, like we were really the first people that were like, PlayStation Plus is great.
Seems like a good idea.
For people I don't remember, people hated PlayStation Plus. They fucking hated it. And I remember us being like, but why? Like, why do you hate it?
No one's putting a gun to you.
It's totally optional, and it has all these like interesting things you can do.
And this was before it was mandatory for online.
Now it's mandatory on PS4.
Hey.
But keep going.
So I've always been of the mind that it's been quite the value, even though they upped it $10 over to $60. Like I think this is, to me, the whole PlayStation Plus and Xbox Live Gold kind of argument, honestly, is like, and I feel this deep inside me, and I think that it's true. Is it's just something for people to bitch about, and
sure.
I just don't get how you could look at a list of games where even when you're getting 6 games, 7 games, 8 games, whatever it is a month, and you can't find 2 or 3 a year that you thought was worth it, that would just pay for that subscription. Like, that's insane.
Not including the discounts on games that you were going to buy anyway, whether it's, they don't do Summer of Arcade anymore, right? But then they got the PlayStation deals where you buy them and you get the discounts of it. Like
Spring Fever.
I think that people get so hung up on because we're driving at the fact that people have been outraged lately, right? And it's getting worse and all this different stuff. There's so many little things that I don't think people remember that they saved $7 on this game that they bought, or this during the sale they were able to finagle this or get early access to something,
or that they sent their saves to the cloud and their PS4 died, or like there's all of these interesting things where I'm like, the games, I look at the games every month and I'm like, some of the times on both Xbox and PS4 I'm like, these games suck, but you can't win them all, and there are plenty of great games that have been downloadable on there too. I mean, think about Rocket League as an example of that. Rocket League was big specifically because of its PlayStation Plus, and it was a huge gambit that they at Cynex that they did. I know because I had conversations with them before they did it. It was a thing that they were thinking deeply about if it was worth doing or not. I really feel like the stigma around PlayStation Plus has reached a new height because of PlayStation 4's inclusion of having to have it to play online, and that games online connectivity is somewhat ubiquitous now, whether it's leaderboards or whether you're actively playing online in active multiplayer, or you're ghosting or whatever it happens to be. That like this is hard to do without PlayStation Plus, but it really is just a $60 investment, and I've said it before, and it's not to be snarky or snide, but if a $60 investment to get free games, cloud saves, automatic updates, and play online is too much for you, you probably shouldn't be playing video games. Like, you probably should save your money and spend it elsewhere. It's really one AAA game bought at release that you don't get, or something like that, in exchange for a litany of games across all these platforms that you could just bank forever. And as long as you keep paying, you're going to have access to them on PS3, on PS4, on Vita, on Xbox 360, on Xbox One. And so I never really quite understood the argument for it, and so I totally think it's ridiculous that people are so upset about it. But I understand the ups and downs of it, and I'm sure it's not easy for Sony to acquire these games. We don't really understand the nature by which I've heard stories anecdotally off the record that I'm not going to talk about here about how it goes. But the fact of the matter is that I really feel like it's been a net benefit, that it's been an interesting program, that it's proliferated interesting games that people otherwise wouldn't play.
That's the big
part.
Puts
money in the developers' pockets that otherwise aren't going to be selling their games, because no one's going to care about them. And I think that there's a lot of positive there that people overlook because they want to be negative about this one
I
thing.
understand people's, and especially within the history where there has been a big AAA game on there or something, you're like, oh man, this is what it should be. This is what it should be. The problem is, I think you look past it so much that it's a way to get people to play games they wouldn't have played before that are cool, right? I look at that, like Flame Over jumped off the list, and I remember how much you were playing Flame Over and you were enjoying Flame Over, and then to see like Gone Home on there or something where it's a game we all talk about, but maybe you didn't want to invest it in that time.
In contrast on PlayStation 4.
Exactly.
I would have never played that. But I did because it was free.
And there's these things that get tossed in there where it's like, I understand that you want it to be that Mass Effect is a PlayStation, your Mass Effect Andromeda is the PlayStation Plus game of, for March. That's not going to happen, sadly. Or maybe wait on a line promoting Mass Effect Andromeda 2 or whatever the hell they're going to call it. There's games in here that are setting things up and doing these different marketing things, but also getting you something you wouldn't play before and getting you something that is out there. And so I think it's, when you talk about a PlayStation Plus lineup or an Xbox, it's the same thing. I go back to when Adam Boyes was talking to us after PSX last year. Well, I guess now 2015, PSX 2015. And he was saying like, they build these things in the conferences and they try to have, they understand they're talking to millions of people. They're trying to have 1 or 2 or 3 announcements in there for every person. So you're excited about Crash, and I'm excited about, now I'm talking about this one, Patapon. You know what I mean? Like there's these things where we're all finding our touchstones. And I think that's what this is, where there are times where I come through and I look at the PlayStation Plus, I'm like, I remember that game doing really poorly, and this isn't cool, and I don't want any of this, and I bounce. But then there are times where I run into something, and I'm like, oh yeah, first off, I want that game. Or like Last Guy's in there. Yes, I want you to fucking play Last Guy. Years later, yes, play Last Guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that, I was just reading that Tim had printed out the list of PlayStation Plus free games across all the platforms for 2016. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, okay, like even if 20% of these games are up your alley, like, isn't that a nice win for $60? I mean, it's like there are a lot of games on here that are great.
Yeah,
there are great games on this
totally
list. Or games that Grim Fandango's on here, Helldivers is on here, Nom Nom Galaxy, Persona 4 Arena Ultimax, The Last Guy, like you said, Super Stardust HD, which is one of PS3's best games.
Costume Quest 2,
Costume Quest 2, NBA 2K16's on there.
Color Guardians is on here, which I actually downloaded last month because everybody keeps telling me I should play Color Guardians. Like there's things on there that you get to miss. And I when I went through and compiled this, I put the Metacritic scores on there. Metacritic sucks. I'm not saying it's the end all be all, but to put all the Metacritics on there and it averages out to about 73,
That's
74%.
The thing, 73 average. And like looking at it, like the question of is PlayStation Plus getting worse? Like doesn't look like it, at least from the Metacritic point of view of like these numbers, like a lot of the more recent ones are in 80s. Every once in a while, there's a 60 something.
The thing I think when people think it's getting worse is when they look further back, right? Because when you go back and you look at like the original run of PlayStation Plus, you're seeing immediately Wipeout HD, Siphon Filter, more Siphon Filter. Like you're seeing the games that I think people have a soft spot for, where they were okay with getting older shit because it was a big name, or that made it seem like that was justifying it. Where it is now, you're getting Flame Over and Last Guy, and people are like, well, those aren't the games I want. And it's like, okay, but like you can't always get Little Big Planet, Sackboy's prehistoric moves.
I forgot about that game.
How can you forget?
So yeah, I think it's could it be better? Sure, but this is an additive kind of feature of PlayStation Plus. And it's not, with the PS4. It's people need to pay this fee to get online with PS4. And I understand people don't want to just throw their money away, but it's a little intentionally ignorant to walk around acting like you don't get anything for the $60 and that you don't get plenty of bang for your buck for your $60, because you do. If your argument is that like the network's fidelity isn't very good, or if that's a fine argument, but just based only on the discounts and the freebies, like I just and then you add in the automatic updates and you add in the cloud saving, which I think is fucking awesome. And maybe we just like it more because we have multiple consoles and stuff like that. And maybe that's not something a lot of people use, and it just kind of gives you peace of mind as well.
I was gonna say when their systems die, though.
But to me, I'm like, I just don't understand. $60, like it's literally $60, and this is not a cheap hobby. We all are used to spending money, so $60 is really you're inhibited by a $60 purchase that's getting you all this free shit basically, or shit that you're technically paying for. That's not free. Then video game might not be for you.
Yeah, it's interesting because on the Kind of Funny Facebook group, there's like this is all every month this comes out. There's a huge discussion on what people think, and it's so funny to go back to what Adam Boyce was saying. I'm a little something for everybody. Anytime someone's complaining, somebody's like, I love it.
Yeah, that's the thing is,
be a
I feel like I'm usually middle of the road on every one of them because I own a few of them or whatever. I'm just like, oh, that seems like a good month, and then it is that there are the people who fucking like it and really like it and maybe even love it, and the people who hate it. And like you can't make everyone happy because it's so broad. There's no way. I mean, even if it was all right, we're giving everyone Persona, they'd be like, I don't care about JRPGs.
Yep.
Why didn't they give me Mass Effect? It's like, all right, guys.
Yeah, no, it gets complicated, and this isn't so much about the free games, but I think I want to give a shout out to Sony for doing a really good job with digital sales, and I think PlayStation Plus has a lot to do with that. There's so many times I'm on PSN, there's like sales, there's always flash sales going on. There's always like event sales happening, and I'm like, why don't other people do it this way? You know, I mean, like Steam does.
Steam does it obviously really well.
Steam's the best, but like Xbox doesn't do that. Like Nintendo doesn't have like Nintendo focused sales and stuff. Every once in a while they will, but it's usually as an apology because they fucked something up.
Yeah.
But on PlayStation, it's like I really think they're doing a good job of getting me interested in things that I wouldn't necessarily be interested in. Like there's been multiple times where the PlayStation Plus sale price, like there's a sale going on PSN, and then the PlayStation Plus discount you get on top of that sale. I'm like, oh fuck, worth it.
Right over break, somebody had hit me up of like they got like 3 of the games we had been talking about this year for like $7.60 because it's like that what you're talking about where you compile all that together but those are the hidden benefits, right? The benefits people think of are the instant game collection, and why the fuck is there an Odd World on here? I don't care about Odd World. I want to play something. Like, all right, well, next year next month there'll be something different.
Yeah. Okay. Any closing words?
No, my argument would be that it's you know, the old adage is you spend money to make money. We know that from owning a business, but I would also put forth that you spend money early to save money later, and that I think that it's like a gamble because you don't know what you're going to buy. If you're going to buy 10 games a year or something like that, maybe none of your games are discounted. But if you're a chronic purchaser of games, and if you also wait and you don't care about being, you know, quote unquote in the conversation, which is a term I hate, about a game, and you're willing to wait or whatever, then PlayStation Plus is almost certainly going to pay dividends for you if you're patient and you buy a lot of games. Because if you're going to spend, if you're going to be in these flash sales often and buy a game or two in every flash sale that is usually discounted and then discounted even more significantly and severely for PlayStation Plus, then certainly you're going to make your money back. And if you count the cloud saving as worth $10 and you count the automatic updates as worth $5 and the online play is worth $10 or whatever, then that removes $25 from the $60. And suddenly you're not really even spending that much money to grab a few freebies. If there's one game every other month that you like, then you're making your money back. Like it's just basic math. And so I never really quite understood the very, you know, negative nature of some commentators around this. Like you said, it's not everyone, but some people around this. I think the negativity is a little over the top.